I watched this entire 35-minute presentation, opens in new tab, enraptured, completely bowled over and convinced that Spore was the future of video games. And I guess in a sense it was. 17 years later, Bethesda's next big RPG is making the same mistake Spore did, hyping up mind-blowing scale as an awesome feature. All I see is a red flag. Bethesda says Starfield will have 1,000 planets. I'd be shocked if 990 of them aren't boring as hell. Spore promised us the moon, and several years later, returned with some big boring rock, Rick Lane wrote in a retrospective a few years ago. It's a perfect summation of what I expect from Starfield after today's presentation, a truly massive galaxy, bigger than any RPG Bethesda's ever made, as long as you're cool with it mostly being full of a bunch of big boring rocks. I thought of that Spore presentation when I first played Mass Effect, driving the Mako over ugly, bland procedurally generated planets. I thought of Spore when No Man's Sky promised an infinite galaxy, though at least those planets could be quite striking. I thought of Spore when Mass Effect Andromeda promised this time it'd have more interesting planets to explore. It didn't. And again, today. Who's falling for it this time? In Starfield's grand gameplay debut, Bethesda chose to highlight a bland grey and brown moon, a prefab research lab, and enemies simply labeled pirate in the Star QI. Starfield has no interest in who these pirates are, other than dudes to shoot. I get sad imagining that if this game had been made 20 years ago, there'd be piles of flavor text to pull me into this world. But instead, pirate. Bethesda did show a glimpse of one handcrafted city, and it does look like a proper sci-fi utopia, the kind of hub it'll be a joy to explore. Maybe Starfield is full of these cities, and added together they make for a grand RPG's worth of adventure. Even if that's the case, the 1,000 procedurally generated, largely empty planets will remain a detriment to Starfield as a whole.